For the first time in more than a decade, the Georgia Environmental Protection Division is actively working on creating a plan to ease regulations put in place back in 2012 after one of the worst droughts the state has ever seen. That suspension, which halted any new withdrawal permits, as well as any modifications to existing withdrawal permits on the Flint River Basin, was meant to protect water resources from being overconsumed. However, that could all soon change after years of evaluation and data collection.
The 2012 suspension was never intended to be a permanent suspension. We knew that we needed to use and manage the water resource effectively. So we've just been working over the last 12 years to get better water data, better metering data, to go through and evaluate that information. We're also in a really unique position where we have a funding from ARPA that's going to the Georgia Water Planning and Policy Center for the development of an incidental take permit and a habitat conservation plan. And that all sounds like a lot of jargon, but really what it boils down to is we have some threatened and endangered mussels in the lower Flint Basin, and this is a way for us to protect our existing water users and protect those mussels, while at the same time giving us an opportunity to think through how do we want permitting to look moving forward.
The proposed modifications are contingent upon two main factors: additional capacity being identified and the protection of water in those already permitted to use it. And if those criteria are met, new permits would be under drought restrictions that users would need to comply with to ensure proper management.
When times are good, when times are normal, even when times are a little bit dry, you could irrigate just as anyone normally would. But when we get into a really significant drought, the kinds of things we saw in 2007, in 2011, restrictions would be put in place, and that person would not be able to withdraw from the Florida aquifer anymore, to make sure that we were not using too much of that water resource. The second thing that we're talking about is making sure that we've got really good compliance options. So if folks do have a situation where they're irrigating outside of their permitted acreage, that we have a good path to compliance that's going to get them where they need to be, where we can protect the water resource, but we're really all working together.
According to Murray Campbell, a farmer who has been a part of this discussion since the first moratorium was put in place in 1999, says this modification would be a great win for those like himself who wouldn't be able to farm without irrigation.
We are so much further down the road in the science and knowing what's going on and being able to predict what will happen with the modeling. We're on the verge of being able to protect the permits that we have, which is important, to correct some of the inaccuracies that we have in some of the permits, and that we can then see where those areas are where we can open up and have some more permits that may be under a drought restriction, under a significant situation. But we have come so much further than where we were 25 years ago. It's unbelievable, and we're making great progress. And it's going to be good for agriculture.
The EPD hopes to have a final decision regarding the current suspension in November. Reporting in Dawson for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.